The 1970-71 season was a really interesting hockey season. I think everybody would agree on that if you've been following our Twitter account and our podcasts. One other thing that besides the expansion into Buffalo and Vancouver that this season was notable for, a lot of people were calling it the year of the rookie. That's because there was a bumper crop of first-year players that came to the NHL that year in what was really the first true wide-open amateur draft. And Jim Proudfoot, the Toronto Star sports editor, had a look at the rookies who were in the NHL in 70-71. Proudfoot writes that this is the year of the rookie in the National Hockey League. Never has there been a freshman crop to match this season's group. Of course, there's never been 14 teams in the NHL before either. Coach Red Kelly of the Pittsburgh Penguins said, if you were awarding the Calder Trophy right now, there must be about a dozen guys you could give it to without looking bad. Only the mighty Boston Bruins, who opened the season with a set lineup, don't feature a standard newcomer, and that's only because Reggie Leach thought he'd be better off playing regularly minors than sitting on an NHL bench, and Reggie's probably right. But even then, he was called up to the Bruins shortly after this article was written. First-year men have led 5 clubs in scoring through most of the 70-71 schedule so far, which is into mid-January and at the time this was written. Jules Villemere of the Rangers has been chiefly responsible for the New York Rangers' pronounced improvement in their standings. His 1.75 goals per game average is the best in the entire NHL, and he's placed second in the NHL's Eastern Division All-Star balloting. Tommy Webster has been the Red Wings' most dependable shooter all along. Gilbert Perreault has done a similar job for the Buffalo Sabres. Bob Barry has been scoring the most goals for the Los Angeles Kings, and the Philadelphia Flyers' best production has been coming from newcomer Serge Bernier. Finally, center Jude Drouin has been getting the most points these past weeks for the Minnesota North Stars. There's no question, Red Kelly says, a lot of guys are catching on because the NHL expanded from 6 to 12 and 67 and now to 14 teams. That means a lot more jobs are open. Who's to say, though, that a fellow like Villemere didn't belong in the NHL long before this? And if you were a fan of the Buffalo Bisons, you would be asking that very same question. So Red Kelly went on to explain to Jim Proudfoot just why this rookie crop seems to be so good. Red says it's a good group of graduating juniors. More than that, though, a lot of the expansion teams had kept their draft choices in this year when they dealt them away before. And a junior would stand a better chance with a team like, say, Pittsburgh than it would with New York or Boston. He cites Greg Polis, a fine young rookie left winger for the Penguins, as a prime example. Kelly went on to say that you see a lot of good junior grads with expansion clubs, Pro in Buffalo, Dale Tal in Vancouver, Freddie Barrett on defense with the North Stars, and of course the kid we draft 7th overall, Greg Polis. With 11 goals and 9 assists, Polis has been one of the Penguins' most dependable point getters. Kelly says he's one hang of a good prospect. Strong. That's a thing like a big horse. He overcomes people. You bet it was a great junior crop, says Minnesota's chief scout, Ted O'Connor, who of course is famous in the Oshawa area for his work with the Generals. O'Connor says we had the 17th and 20th picks last June, and we got 2 first stringers for this season. Barrett surprised us by winning a job at training camp, and he's come along even better since we paired him up with the veteran Ted Harris. Buster Harvey was one of our better forwards, but right now Harvey's out with what it looks like a bad knee problem, but he made the team right out of training camp as well. The Rangers personnel boss Steve Berklashuk says that their team is happy with their number 1 draft pick, who was a right winger by the name of Norm Gratton out of Quebec. He says they're happy with Norm even though he's not with the big club right now. But they says this might be the last year of this kind. They changed the junior age limit so that no kid will get more than 3 years at that level. A boy like Barrett with 4 junior seasons under his belt, came up with a lot of experience, and that's not going to happen again. The NHL defines a rookie as somebody who hasn't played more than 25 games in any previous single NHL season, or 6 more in each of the 2 previous seasons. The latter rule disqualifies, for instance, Vancouver's Murray Hall or Jerry Meehan of the Buffalo Sabres. At the same time, it okays much elderly Frosh members as 30-year-old Gilles Villemure, Philadelphia's 31-year-old defenseman Barry Ashby, and of course the Leafs' Billy McMillan, who's 27, and Guy Trottier, who makes his NHL debut at the ripe old age of 29. So Proudfoot writes that the way it looks right at this time, that Buffalo and Vancouver will fight it out for the Calder when voting time comes up in April. The Canucks' defensive kingpin is a precocious Talon, and Perreault is churning out better than 20% of Buffalo's goals at this point in the season. This was not foreseen last May because New York's Jack Eagers seemed to have the 70-71 rookie prize all locked up. The Rangers promoted him late last season, and he got 3 goals in 6 games and 3 more in 5 playoff matches. However, he's been hurt this year, and he failed to deliver on that promise so far. Looking locally, Proudfoot says that the Leafs rate with any opponent in this year's rookie department, thanks to McMillan, who has 13 goals, Guy Trottier, 12 goals in only 25 games, and young Daryl Sittler, who'd have more than 7 if he got on the ice more, but they're being careful with his ice time, and now he's got a badly broken wrist. Other standouts around the league for first-year guys, defenseman Serge Lajeunesse with Detroit, the aforementioned Guy Lapointe, who Punch Imlach talked about, with 10 goals from the blue line for Montreal, and another Montreal rookie, Mark Tardif, who plays the wing. St. Louis Blues, Jim Lorentz and George Morrison, both a couple of young forwards. Ernie Hickey with the California Seals. Chicago's truculent young left-winger, Dan Maloney and Big Jerry Korab, and on until you'd reach a grand total which is close to about 4 dozen first-year men who are making an impact. Red Kelly sums it up by saying, "I've never seen anything like it. They could sell programs at the players' benches this year."